Good evening everyone and welcome along to TTML F2. We are here for Season 6, round number 3 of the Championship, as we take in, of course, the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, or as the title says, the Imola Grand Prix from, you might have guessed it, Imola. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as always on a Thursday night. Pepsi Freak, however, is stuffing his face with turkey as I speak right now. So joining me in the com truck tonight for I think the first time in probably ever, it is Mr. NSR Pariah. Pariah, how you doing?
I am doing great. It's a Thursday evening. I've had a great day, and now I'm finally here with you, James, in the commentator box. And it's my first time ever commentating F2, and my second time ever commentating with you. And what an honor it is to be here and commentate with you.
It's an absolute honour commentating with you as well. Now, honestly, we cannot wait to bring you the action, of course, of a very changed format. And we'll get into the format first before we run through all the standings and everything. So if you are not aware of what is happening tonight, you can see on the left-hand side that the settings are different for tonight. And that is because we're going to have sprint qualifying as well as one-shot qualifying. So it's going to be the one-shot qualifying up first, and then the sprint qualifying. So the one-shot qualifying will determine, obviously, the sprint qualifying, as it's called, which is just a 25% race, of course, around Imola. That's 16 laps in total. And then, though that grid from the sprint qualifying will set the grid for the actual 50% race. So there is no short qualifying that we normally have. It is based off one shot and then sprint qualifying, and then we get straight into that 50% race. Got it? I hope you're not too confused. We'll try and remind you, of course, as we go along. And to take you through actually what happened last week, and for the benefit of Pariah, I know as well, this is his first time commentating alongside me on F2 this season. Looking at the podiums from last week, of course, it was Ferenc, absolute dominant once again in Baku, from Simply Superman in second, and IKRT Nicholas, or just Nicholas in third, on in the McLaren. And what did that do to the championship standings? Well, Ferenc leading the way on 61 points, 2 race wins and the fastest lap to his name. So Ferenc might be the one to beat coming, of course, into tonight. Simply Superman now in second after that phenomenal performance in Baku last week. He's on 32 points. Break FN in third on 27. Then a three-way tie for fourth between Chris, Neymar and Jorg. They're all tied on 25 points. Noisy in seventh on 24. Frankie Phil, Nicholas and Dresser all tied for eighth on 20 points. And then we've got F1MG, Matt Tibos, Volakongan, David Charho, Tom, Chionis, Yuki, Phoenix, Honey Badger and Mashiro rounding off our 20 drivers. And Pariah, obviously looking at those standings, Ferenc has been an absolute class above the rest so far. Anybody else that you could think try and make up a challenge, of course, going into this one-shot qualifying and indeed sprint qualifying?
Oh, well, I see a lot of strong drivers here, but of course, Ferenc, MP1 at the moment, doing a great job, and he looks like a real strong driver. Also, a reserve, Kriski, I'm not sure if he got a full-time seat now, if I saw right.
He's a reserve,
wrong.
yeah.
He's a reserve, yeah. And being a reserve all went into the top 5 is strong, and that P4 shared by Neymar and Jorg as well with 25 points. Really interesting fight we got here.
It is a really interesting fight, of course. This is the first look, of course, at Imola. And Imola, of course, being the home of the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. And back in the day as well, the San Marino Grand Prix. We last came here, of course, in an F1 game in 2013. Yes, I am very old to remember that. I was driving on F1 2013 when they released the classic tracks, of course, on the PS3. And Imola was one of those tracks. So in its fine, mighty glory, we come back here once again on the F1 calendar to Imola tonight. And a fantastic circuit, of course, 19 corners awaiting our cars out on, awaiting our drivers, I should say, out on track. Of course, only the one DRS zone, that is down in towards Tamburello, that's the chicane at turns 2 and 3. And this track is absolutely classic, and we are now all set for possibly what could be, I hope, race of the season.
Yeah, not so long ago I did a league race here and commentated as well, and I gotta say, it's one of my favorite tracks. It's such a beautiful layout, the driving here and the corners, everything 110% perfect.
110% perfect, and of course these drivers do need to be on the limit in terms of the track limits. Track limits around here quite potent, especially through the middle sector down in towards Aqua Minerale, so drivers will be hoping to try and get on board as we ride on board now with Simply Superman, second in the championship coming into tonight. We'll ride on board with him, we'll take the timing tower off to the left hand side so you can see everything, and now let's ride on board with a lap of Imola with Simply Superman, the man of course second in the championship. Through the kink of turn 1, that does count as a corner with the curb on the inside, now breaking at the 50 metre board in towards the Tamburello chicane at turns 2 and 3, and then through turn 4. Of course this track has gone through many different layouts in its past, since of course the tragic death of Ayrton Senna in 1994. Simply Superman now comes through Villeneuve chicane at 5 and 6, and then in towards Tosa corner at turn 7. Not what you're thinking, I'm sure. Through the first sector was a 24.5 from Simply Superman through the first sector, and now the Irishman on the road up the hill in towards Piratella. This left-hander of course can catch people out, but now through Piratella corner, and then on the run down in towards Aqua Minerale. George Russell crashing the wall on the left-hand side there in 2020, but now coming up the hill through Aqua Minerale, and then in towards the Variante Alta, which of course is the next chicane, and the end of the middle sector is good. It's a 49.8 from Simply Superman through the middle sector, through Variante Alta, and this is looking very, very quick and clean. He's currently third, as you can see on the standings on the right-hand side. We've turned off the timing tower, so we don't know who is going to be on pole position at this stage. Down towards Ravazza with the old houses on the right-hand side, through Ravazza at turn 18, and now through the kink of 19. That is a lap of Imola complete. Simply Superman running to the line, goes third, and he's only 2/10 off Frankie Fro, who goes on pole position. Judging by qualifying, that looked very, very close indeed.
Yeah, and Simply Superman, I was on board with him as well. That lap, what a lap, it looked beautiful, on point everywhere.
And look at that, top 11 are covered by 0.8 of a second. It is the Australian Frankie Fro on pole position for the first time this season. Jorg in second, Ference in third, interestingly. So no short qualifying backup in terms of the triple in terms of getting one shot qualifying. Getting third, basically, in this. Simply Superman in fourth, Nicholas in fifth, Follow Congan in sixth, David Child in seventh, Neymar in eighth, Lewis in ninth. Top 8 are covered by 0.4 of a second, which is really close. Lewis there in ninth, as I say. Honey Badger in 10th, Tom in 11th, and it's Noisy Tionis, Leroy, they all set the laps to the top 13. Leroy, Break FN, and Dressy, the 3 disqualifications, of course, for track limit violations out on track. But Frankie Fro on top, Jorg in second. Of course, this only determines sprint qualifying and the grid here.
Yeah, like this new, what do you say? Way to do a Leroy thing, the format, the new format. Oh, it's raining here in the sprint race. How exciting is this? And my fellow Norwegians who are watching this, I've shared the link a few places. They know that I am the biggest rain lover in league racing community ever. So seeing it raining here, it makes my heart melt.
I've just nearly spilt my drink everywhere. I was that chuffed that it's full wet and it's full wet sprint qualifying, of course, being a 25% race. And this is going to take a little bit more time, of course, from our schedule tonight. But we have started dead on time. It is 8:05 here, of course, in the UK. And wherever you may be tuning in from the world, welcome along, of course, to Imola. 16 laps awaiting these drivers, of course, for sprint qualifying, as we are calling it. Remember, this is the 25% race that sets the grid up. And, of course, we will have a bit of a debrief as we go through spring qualifying, but it looks like actually the majority of the guys are on a set of full wet tyres, so the full wet tyres can dispose of course, as Frankie Fro's just lost it coming through Tamburello at turn 3, doesn't want to do that in the race, because obviously you could have a situation where Verstappen and Hamilton, in real life, 2020, obviously made blows down in towards Tamburello.
Yeah, you have to take over just for a minute because my headset is almost running out of power.
No worries at all. Frankie Fro is on a lap though. We are on the formation lap at this stage, and of course it is full wet qualifying in terms of what we have so far here tonight in Imola. And this could be quite interesting. Frankie Fro out on top, Jorg there in second. I think honestly this will favour Jorg more than Frankie Fro off the line. I think with the standing water that's actually on the track, it really goes up onto the inside line. I think that's where pole position is going to be. There is a zero stop strategy possible in this race as well, and the drivers are obviously allowed to do this with it being a no stop strategy unless it dries up later, of course, in the race and it becomes dry conditions. But I think how the rain is falling, I think we're pretty much within this now for the full 25% race and for the full 16 laps. So Frankie Fro out on top, Jorg in second, Ference in third, and looking at everyone further down the field, I've got to be honest, Noisy down in 12th position screams at me as somebody that might make his way through the field, certainly. Volokonga, I know, was quite quick, obviously, in the wet conditions as well for TNR. But Frankie Frobart on top, Jorgen second, Ference in third. Pariah, are you back with us?
I am back. I just had to get in a better seat position so I could charge my headset while sitting down as well. So this formation lap has been the most stressful formation lap in my history.
I don't blame you. At least it's fixed though, and at least you're now in a comfortable position, of course, to commentate alongside me for Imola, and I really hope that this is going to be a good race. As I say, further down the field, before we get going quickly, who's your top three? Because it's quite a spaced out grid.
Ference, Jorg, and Simply Superman. So Ference P1.
Interesting. So Ference trying to complete the treble, you could call it, in this 25% race of sprint qualifying that is about to begin. The final cars are latching onto the back of the grid, and we are now about to get going. The 5 red lights are about to go out here in Imola. Frankie Fro on top, Jorg on the inside line. Who's going to get the run down in towards Tamburello? 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go, and Frankie Fro gets a better start. Jorg as well gets a really good start on the inside line, and now they're going to run side by side like Verstappen and Hamilton, and Frankie Fro's on the wall. Frankie Fro's in the wall, bit of wheel spin on the left hand side. He's lost his end plate as well, and he's right down the back of the field. So drama early on. Ference is up to second as a result. There's a corner cut over there. I think that was Volokongan having to cut across the gravel there, but Jorg leads the way. Ference there in second, Simply Superman in third, Nicholas in fourth, Honey Badger's already up to seventh. Really good start from him in the Alpine. Tom is up to 8th as well. Noisy is fighting side by side with him, and there's a spinner in the background, and that's Lewis Rocks, the other Aston Martin that is found in behind through the Villeneuve chicane. Noisy is still going side by side, however, with Tom, with the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri. There's a little bit of sideways moment there from the Haas, and now Taze Leroy is going to try and make it 3 wide up in towards Piratella. Nemo on the inside line there as well for 9th, but he couldn't get the move done, and Noisy stays in P9, Nemo in P10, and Taze Leroy trying to go for a really impossible gap there. But through the end of the first half a lap, Jorg leading the way, Ference in second, Simply Superman in third. Your top three is not looking too bad at this stage.
Looking good there, yeah. I saw there were 3 cars trying to go 3 wide into turn 1, so Volkogen had to cut the corner there, it looked like.
Yeah, David Charles just cut the corner as well, coming through Variante Alta at the top of the hill. Tom's going side by side with him on the run down in towards Bravasta. He's on the inside line, but Tom holds on, and Noisy and Honey Badger nearly come down the inside line there as well, and there's a little bit of carnage coming through, and Honey Badger's going to get the great run on Noisy, possibly. Noisy forced off Tom there in position, and Neymar and Taze Leroy getting involved in this as well. The Ference is only 3 tenths behind for the lead of the race as well, which we'll cut on to in just a second, but Taze Leroy down on the inside line on Neymar, down in towards Piratella. Hold your breath here, down in towards Tamburello, and Noisy just about holds on for 7th. Honey Badger, though, gets the run on the outside line, gets the move done, so he's soon into 7th, and Tom is going to try and filter in this as well. Noisy seems to be struggling in the conditions. Red Bull and AlphaTauri really not giving each other room. Of course, remember, driving standards have got to be clean, but honestly, it's a little bit aggressive for my liking as Taze Leroy dives it down the inside line on Noisy, and he's going to get the move done. He's into 9th.
Yeah, the racing here so far has been 1.5 lap, and I'm really impressed by this. There's so many tight fights going on here, and we see that Noisy going a little bit wide there off track, back into P12 right, and then behind Tijan is here.
Oh, and there's front wing damage in behind as well, and 3 wide into Aqua Minerale. Really doesn't work. Noisy and Dressy, I think, have been caught up in a collision. I think Noisy has came off better than that. He's got right side end plate damage. Dressy's got left side end plate damage on the car. And I've got to be honest, driving standards so far, it is full wet conditions, I can totally understand that, but driving standards, this is sprint qualifying, this decides what the grid is going to be for the race. I've got to be honest, it's really disappointing so far. You're leading the way, Ference in second. I think Ference made a mistake at the top of the hill, if I'm not mistaken. It was 8 tenths per second, it's now back down to 5 tenths, but Ference really beginning to try and close in on Jorg, and this pack really a 5 with Volokongan including this as well. They're getting away from the rest of the field, and rightfully so, because everyone I think have been involved in quite a few collisions as Ference goes nearly to the inside line to the Villeneuve chicane, doesn't get the move done. Jorg still hangs on for the lead.
Yeah, we see all the way in the whole field there are ties between everyone except from behind Volokongan and David Honey Badger. So they are in 2 different trains here, we can say.
Yeah, there's 2 DRS rings. Obviously, if there was DRS, then there would be 2 DRS rings. two DRS trains out on track. My words are really mumbling up tonight, as you can probably tell. Jorg leading the way though, Ference in second. I'm above with Simply Superman. He's 5 tenths away from the back of Ference. His championship contender, of course, is just ahead of him. In behind as well, Taze Leroy gets a phenomenal run through Aquaminerale up in towards Variante Alta at the top of the hill through turn 15 and 16. But doesn't manage to get the move done now on the run down in towards Ravata. But Jorg leading the way, Ference in second. It's just quieting down, which I think is really key to this race. It's just quieting down now. Obviously, hopefully no more contact to come throughout this race. Onto lap 4 we go. Jorg leading the way, Ference in second, Simply Superman in third, Taze Leroy again on the back of Tom. Is he going to try and get the run? Is Tom going to get the run on Honey Badger, in fact, running down the straight? And the two Toms are going to battle out, it seems, for 7th position. But I think Honey Badger's just got about enough to hang on down in towards Tamburello once again. And he stays in P7. Nicholas as well, crawling all of the back of Simply Superman. He just seems to be getting dropped by the front two.
Yeah, also as you said, Tom versus Tom, or you could say TVT, so TV time for them.
TV time for them indeed. And then they've got Taze Leroy, so there's another T in there as well. And then Neymar just ruins it in front of Chionis, which is a little bit bad, but we've got to battle the T's pretty much as actually Honey Badger nearly lost it. Then I think Chionis as well nearly lost it. Now Tom down the inside line of his fellow Tom, down the inside line in towards Piratella. Can he get the move done? He's not going to go around the outside of Aquaminerale, is he? Down in towards Aquaminerale. Honey Badger just stays ahead for now. Tom there in 8th position, trying to really fend them off. Ference has made another mistake, I think. It's 1.2 seconds now, the gap out in front. Jorg really seems to excel in that middle sector. He can take track limits probably a little bit better than what Ference can, and Ference seems to be getting caught out by the conditions. We've only ever seen him all as Nicholas nearly into the back of Simply Superman in towards Ravata. Taze Leroy is side by side with him as well. Side by side with Tom down in towards Ravata. Doesn't get the move done there. But Ference just seems to be struggling. Of course, we've only seen him in dry weather. So Ference, I think, wet weather is probably not his forte, and that's why he's dropping back off Jorg.
Nah, I see a lot of lockups here tonight, and I'm not surprised in the rain. It's so much easier to lock up your front wheels into the braking zone. I see Leroy and Tom, they're so close now. Also Nicholas and Superman also real close in the top.
Yeah, Taze Leroy is still on the back of Tom. He's going to get the inside line in toward the Villeneuve chicane. A beautiful run out. Used a bit of a deployment as well. Beautiful move there by the Irishman. So Taze Leroy's through, and he's into 8th position. Tom there now down to 9th. Neymar and Chionis could have a look in as well. In behind, the Mercedes and the McLaren are probably going to get Tom. Tom just doesn't look like he's settled in with the car so far in these conditions. And of course, it could be dry weather as we come in from the spring qualifying into the full 50% race. That obviously follows after this. Noisy sets the new fastest lap of the race as well. And that's where Ference loses all the time. Out of Aquaminerale, really losing the time again. He's lost 4 tenths of a second to Jorg. And Jorg takes Aquaminerale so much quicker than Ference. Ference is doing a good job at the minute in second, but he cannot live up to the AlphaTauri in front.
Oh, now Leroy is had a good run on Tom, or Titki Tom, Honey Badger. This time down towards the last corner. He's going to go on the inside now. He backed it earlier, maybe planning on doing it down towards turn 1 then.
Yeah, he might do indeed. Taze Leroy in the back of Honey Badger, Tom in behind, Nemo in behind this as well with Chionis. It is spring qualifying, it is a 25% race here tonight. 50% race, as I've just said, will follow us. So if you're just tuning in, don't worry, we've got the full 50% race. No short qualifying, however, but it will be a full 50% race after this. And this race, as you're seeing now, will determine the grid for that 50% race, which will follow very soon indeed. But Jorg leading the way, Ference in second, Simply Superman in third. Taze Leroy's going to think about going down the inside and toward the Villeneuve chicane. He doesn't manage to get the move done, but he's only 3 tenths of a second away. And I've got to be honest, Tom, TTG Honey Badger, I should say. Well, we're getting confused with Toms. It's pretty canny to see that, but Taze Leroy's right on the back of him and look down in towards Piratella. Honey Badger's not going to give him any room, but Taze Leroy's already down the inside line, has the right of way of the corner. Taze Leroy is through, and he's into 7th position, and I've got to be honest, he's on his return here to TTML tonight, and he's really excelling in these conditions. He looks quick.
Yeah, something I just realized, they're fighting for P7, and top 7 gets points, so this is a fight for points actually as well, or the last points here in the sprint race.
Yeah, top 7, of course, as Kermit has put in the comment section there, Maze, of course, in the comment section. 10 points for the winner, and then it's 8 points for second, 6 points for third, and then it's 4 points for fourth, 3 points for fifth, then 2 points for 6th, and then 1 point for 7th position, as you can tell. Now, Tionis getting past Neymar down in towards Ravato. I think Neymar might have just had a little bit of a run out on Tionis, and Tionis now is under pressure from Neymar. But look at the deployment that he's using up. He has to use up a lot of deployment just to latch onto the back of Tionis running down the straight. Of course, if it was DRS, he probably would have been through by now. But Neymar in behind on Tionis. Rain is getting considerably lighter as well out on track. It could mean a transition to intermediate compound of tyre before the race is actually over. And again, Neymar on the back of Tionis, not getting the move done there. But Jorg's still holding his own out in front. Ferrington second. Noisy picks up a 3-second penalty, and to confirm the penalty so far, actually, David, Noisy and Dresse are the only guys that have picked up 3-second time penalties so far. Everyone keeping it clean, especially considering these track limits are normally quite harsh.
Yeah, they are, of course. Remember from driven hearing a lot, and track limits are insane on this track. Also, as you mentioned, there's not so much rain anymore. I think that we'll very soon see them go into pit for intermediates, because right now it's just light rain.
Yeah, of course, as well, they don't have to pit. They don't have to pit at all, because it is a wet race. They don't have to pit, and it could be a zero-stop strategy. But look, the standing water, the puddles on the track, you can tell they're beginning to just what's the word? Decrease in terms of the size and in terms of the proximity out on track as well. So it means even though that these cars are disposing of water, the wet tyres disposing of water at about 75 to 80 litres of water per second, the Inters, on the other hand, will dispose of 25 to 30 litres. So it is really a decision call what these drivers decide to do, and it's up to themselves what they want to do, because obviously they can make a no-stop strategy work, or they can try and play it a little bit risky, going for one stop and hope that those Inters come online within the next 9 laps or so.
Yeah, if I was in this situation, it would be hard, because if there's intermediate weather, but you're on the wet, you will lose a little time. So as we see, Frank Schifro is going into the pit, so I imagine he will put on intermediates now. I'm going to go down and take a look at him in the pits here. There are intermediates for his car there, so I think it could be smart going with. Oh, as Dress has retired, and that's
in the pit lane.
Okay, it's in the pit.
He got excited for nothing there. I thought he was actually... Do you know what? I thought he was actually going to come in, follow Frankie throw in for a set of Inters. That's what I was thinking, but he's retired out the race. I've got to say disappointing, but I don't blame him, because there's no points obviously available for these positions. It's only up to the top 7 that get points. So really further down the field, you are trying to race for the best position possible, and obviously Dresse has felt he can't go on any longer, and he's probably going to try and master his strategy up, of course, in towards the race, which might not be a bad strategy at all. His car is just exiting the pit lane, by the way, as well. Frankie Fro, though, to Noisy. The gap is 23.8 seconds. Make a mental note of that now. Will the gap begin to come down is the big question. And I can already see that he is hovering around that 23.8, so I honestly think we're in that period where the intermediates are probably going to be getting quicker than the set of wet. So I think, honestly, these guys further up the field, Jorg, Farron, Simply Superman, the top 3, down to the top 7, all of these guys, I think, should stay on a set of wet compounded tyres, because if you put in, you're going to be losing so much more time to Frankie Fro, who has gained 4, 5, 10 to set up a second so far, or Noisy on this lap alone. So the Inters are only going to start weathering in the next 2 or 3 laps, and then they're only going to come online probably just after that. So there's really no point. But then again, this is why I'm in the commentary box and not driving out on track.
What's happening? There's a yellow flag.
David.
Noisy?
David
Noisy
has spun
around.
Yeah, Noisy is round as well, but David has spun at the top of Variante, just before Variante Alto. He's lost his front wing entirely, so David is now pretty much... Well, he's not out of contention. He can obviously fit in for a set of Inters. He's probably going to be ahead of Lewis, I think, who also spun through there. And Noisy on that sort of wet compounded tyres also spun, and he's been in the wall as well. Right side end plate damage for him. David with no front wing there. Volakongan, by the way, is on the back of Nicholas running down the straight in towards Tamburello, trying to go on the outside line. But again, Volakongan a little bit cautious, I think, for my liking, which is normally his style of racing. And Volakongan there doesn't want to get the move done on Nicholas. And of course, Nicholas was on the podium last week in Baku, so be hoping, obviously, to try and reclaim that favour. He's only a second off Simply Superman, bar obviously a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, those penalties can do some changes in the position here. Of course, inside top 7 we only get Nicholas. And Volkong, as you say, David's in the pit retiring. Not trying to get so excited by DNF this time. But Volkong real close in the back of Nicholas. And of course, I have experience driving with Volkong, and I gotta agree with you. He's a very cautious driver out on track. He don't want to do, or he's the type of driver that doesn't take too many chances. And as you may remember back in the TTL days, we had Cautious Storm, as you and Paco always called the TTG Storm, or what his name was again.
Yeah, Cautious Storm. That. Storm 72 UK, I think he's called nowadays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
But Jorg is still in the lead of the race. On to lap 11 we go. These guys are committed to that set of wet compound tyres. In behind, though, the battle for third seems to be heating up. Nicholas on the back of Simply Superman. He's only 6/10 away. I am keeping a very close eye, by the way, on Neymar's time. 25.8 seconds behind Sionis. That gap has already gone down a second. This track is only going to be getting quicker and quicker for a set of Inters. Am I really mad in thinking he could try and pull off a possible top 7 finish?
That would have been insane. If this track is just going to get better and better now, as you say, Nicholas, the Superman, trying to get past the outside, now going to the inside. Can he get it done? What a fight we're getting here. Look at him going side by side. I'm over with Volkan. He did great camera angle. Ooh.
And Simply Superman just about hangs on to the position. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of a moment there where Nicholas was coming across on Simply Superman, or if Simply Superman was coming across on Nicholas. I could totally understand. It's an off-camber corner as well, but there's just a little bit of contact in that. It could have been a little bit of aggressive defensive driving on the part of Simply Superman. If it wasn't, then I think he's probably defending that position really nicely indeed. However, he's not going to defend the position for much longer because Nicholas is alongside him, running down in towards Ravata, and this will be bold. He's on the inside in towards Ravata, but I think Simply Superman backs off this, and Volakongan, not so cautious now. He's right on the back of Simply Superman, but he has to try and get past the Irishman ahead of him. Jorg still leading the way, Ferensson second. These guys are continuing on. Neymar is a lot quicker out on track than these guys. Volakongan, however, on the back of Simply Superman. He can only rely on the slipstream. He can only rely on the toe as well, and Honey Badger is going side by side as well with Tiz Leroy in behind. Tom is now 5-second penalty speed in the pit lane, and Volakongan now gets the move done on Simply Superman. So outdone there down and towards turn 1 with Simply Superman at Tamburello, and Volakongan now through, he's into P4. Tiz Leroy and Honey Badger having a good battle, and Tiz Leroy just about hanging on to that position.
More people going to the pit now, and Neymar, he's closing in, but with only 5 laps, I have to say, it's not enough.
He's ahead of Tom.
How much is closing in, I think.
He's ahead of Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
And Tom was 5th, I think. 5th, 6th, hovering around that part at some point in the race, and Neymar's passed him. So Neymar has overcut Tom out on track. We might be reading more into this, but 21 seconds behind Sionis, and he's only 24 seconds off 7th place at this moment in time. The track is still weathering in. His tyres are going to be so much quicker. It's as simple as that. And I think Neymar, I'm honestly mad in thinking this, I think it's now on. I think, honestly, now it is now on. And Neymar possibly could be landing himself a top 7 finish, of course, because these guys are slowing in behind. And Nicholas and Volakongan, by the way, having a good battle out of Ravata, and Volakongan just sails on by as if he's not even there. So the Norwegian now through Volakongan through, and he's into 3rd. Nicholas is going to try and fight back, of course, down the straight with that deployment to use, but he's not using any down the straight in towards Tamburello. And we go again between these two, but Volakongan is through, and he's into 3rd. Honey Badger closing in on Tiz Leroy down the inside line and towards Tamburello. Doesn't get the move done. He could try and get the switch back on the outside through Tamburello, and now down into the Villeneuve chicane. He gets the deployment in effect, but Tiz Leroy has to make 2 moves, of course, to defend his position. He made 1 there, and he defended his position nicely.
Yeah, so much great fighting going on here, and Neymar, he is closing in a lot. So I was about to say earlier that I didn't think it would work, but I'm not so sure anymore because he's closing in a lot. The question is, with 3 laps to go, is it enough?
But look where he is at on track. He's coming through in towards Tosa. Chonas was only down the straight about 5 seconds ago. So Chonas was only at the bottom end of the straight 5 seconds ago. And the gap is about 15 seconds out on track. And actually, Jorg's made a mistake, I think, for the lead of the race as well. And Jorg is now struggling. And Ferenc is all over the back of him for the lead of the race. And Jorg, I think his tyres are overheating. Normally good with the tyre wear. He's overheating his tyres. And look, Ferenc has got a chance here to try and take the race lead, of course. This will be for pole position in sprint qualifying. Down the inside line in towards Tamburello. And a bit half-hearted there. I was getting excited for nothing. Jorg still leads the way. Ferenc there in second. But Ferenc all over the back of him. And he's through into the lead of the race because Jorg has a moment coming through Tamburello. Good recovery, I've got to say, from Jorg. But sprint qualifying now, going the way of Ferenc, it seems, and a side-by-side further down the field. Honey Badger around the outside of Tamburello gets the job done. Taze Leroy still coming back at him around the outside and toward the field of chicane. Brilliant battle between these two. These guys know how to race, and Taze Leroy just about defends that car nicely. Still in P6, Honey Badger in 7th. Who said you couldn't race in a sprint qualifying session?
This racing is amazing, and look at also Neymar. Now it's just 11 seconds, but he's closing in so much. I think it may be the last lap. He could maybe get onto T-Johnny's, but I'm not so sure about Tony Badger and Leroy here for the top 7, because he have 50 seconds to them, and it will be much harder. But that P8 with Johnny's, that could maybe be possible, I think.
I think, honestly,
Tony Badger as well are still fighting a lot. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I really think, honestly, these guys are still slowing in front of them. They're making mistakes as well, as we've seen with Jorg. They're overheating the tyres, and the tyres cannot cope with these conditions. It's certainly Inters, you can tell, because Neymar's just caught 9/10 of a second through Aqua Minerale in towards Variante Alta. I honestly think, if time is on his side, Neymar's going to get 5th here. I really think he might, because Simply Superman is going quite slow. He's dropping off Nicholas. All the guys in the silhouette are slowing. Inters are really coming into play. Tom is catching Neymar as well. Don't forget about this as well. So Tom's right on the back of him. These two can help each other. More slipstream effect. Neymar could be on, at least for top 7, possibly even top 5.
Yeah, looking at how much Tom and Neymar is closing in, they are going to be fighting on these last 2 laps. They're going to give it everything. As Honey Badger and Leroy, they keep fighting. Honey Badger, is he going to go on the outside now?
No.
Leroy tries to defend that off.
Switch back.
Honey Badger going to get the inside then. Too far behind, I think.
He can't get the traction. The tyres, you can tell in times the weather tyres now, the wets, they've lost all of their grip pretty much. And look at Neymar. He's only 3 seconds behind Tionis. And Neymar is hunting these guys down. 7 seconds to Tionis is nothing in terms of these conditions. Neymar, if he doesn't get held up coming through this middle sector now, he is on for P5. I can guarantee you this now, because Neymar is now possibly going to be absolutely pulling off a wondrous strategy here. The Dane could be on, certainly, for 7th position within the X of the sprint qualifying. Look at how Tionis is so slow, and Neymar's right on the back of him, and he's going to get through. Look at that for traction. Neymar is now through, has cleared Tionis, and he's still got a full lap to get Honey Badger and Taze Leroy, and then Taze Leroy's only 5.5 seconds ahead. Simply Superman's only 5.5 seconds ahead of him. Neymar's on for top 5, possibly. Final lap of the race we begin, but it's not the battle for the lead we're on board with. It's Neymar absolutely rampaging his way through the field, and Tom is going side by side with Jonas as well. Tom lost a bit of time on that last lap there, but Tom now down the inside on, and Jonas gets the move done, and he's into 8th position. Neymar, if time's on his side, he's at least going to be getting 6th.
He's closing in so much on Honey Badger now. I've been looking at this Delta. I'm getting so excited about this. Like, friends, you're in the top for the victory, but we have to follow this fight, because look at how much Neymar is closing in. I thought Lewis have done a mistake in the Tamburello's game, but look at Neymar, 2.5 seconds now. He have 1.5 seconds to go. He can maybe take Honey Badger here. I think he will get him. I think he can do it out of the Alta chicane.
I think it's too much to get Taze Leroy, if I'm not mistaken. Taze's just made a mistake, though, and Honey Badger's going slow in front. And Neymar, look at the speed he's got. A second now is the gap. He is catching Taze Leroy hand over fist as well. Could he get them down towards Ravata? Could he get them both? Ference, by the way, has won. Ference has won, and he's going to be on pole position. Jorg is second, but look at Neymar. He's absolutely rampaging his way through the field. He's now got to try and risk it in towards Ravata because Taze Leroy is going to be so slow. But on the exit of the final corner, Neymar thinks about going around the outside of Ravata, but he can't get the move done. Can he get the traction to try and give it? No! Taze Leroy somehow hangs on for sixth. Unbelievable stuff. Taze Leroy is sixth. Neymar is seventh. I've never been so excited in my life commentating off a battle for sixth, but Taze Leroy is sixth. Neymar is seventh, and my first prediction was right. Neymar finishing P7. And if Taze Leroy wasn't as slow, if he got the run on the traction coming out the final corner, Neymar would have got him clearly across the line. So Taze Leroy did well to defend that. Driver of the day from the sprint qualifying is Taze Leroy, and to be honest, I have to tend to agree.
Yeah, like, that ending there was insane. And driver of the day, Taze Leroy, he did well. But sorry, I have to give it to Neymar. I think at the end here, the last laps, he did an insanely good job. And he almost had Taze Leroy at the end there. If he had maybe done a switchback in the last corner, I think he would have gotten it. So for me, I have to say Neymar as the driver of today in the sprint qualifying.
We were questioning, honestly, we said on the first lap they went on to Inters, that was near the Delta point, and the Inters were only going to get quicker from there, so Neymar realised that. Absolute wondrous strategy. Tom as well. I think he did absolutely valiantly in terms of finishing in 8th position. I think he finished 9th with the penalties, but there is going to be another race. There is going to be another race, and it is a full 50% race this time. So, sprint qualifying ended, and this is basically qualifying now. So, Ference is on pole, from Jorg in second. Obviously, he's won the race here and picks up extra points as well. But Jorg there in second. He'll be starting alongside Ference on the grid. Volakongen in third, but Simply Superman in fourth. Nicholas in fifth. Taze Leroy in sixth. Nicholas with a 3-second penalty, by the way, dropped behind Simply Superman. Taze Leroy sixth. The Irishman did a phenomenal job. Neymar in seventh. Honey Badger in eighth. Jonas in ninth. Tom in the end has finished 10th, but picks up the fastest lap point as well. Break FN in 11th. Frankie Fro in 12th. Unfortunate off the start. Lewis in 13th. Noisy got lapped in 14th. He finished under his own accord. David and Dresse will be on the back row of the grid in 15th and 16th, respectively. Who said, Pariah, you couldn't get excitement in a sprint qualifying session? You can't have it in real life, so you may as well take it into the sim racing world, and it delivered absolutely valiantly. What a race that was!
This was, with the wet as well, it made it so much more exciting. And I realized I almost got the podium prediction. I said Friends, I said Jorg, but I said Simply Superman as P3, so that's the only one I missed on.
Well, Simply Superman finished P4, so I guess 2 out of 3 isn't too bad, to be honest. It is very good going, I've got to say, for my co-commentator. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, of course. Tick that notification bell, of course, if you are new. But we do have more action to come. As we speak, Honey Badger, of course, who is the lobby host, will be getting a custom grid together, and he'll be basing this now off what you've just seen, that 25% race. So the positions that everyone finished in that 25% race is the positions that everyone is going to be starting in for this race. And you can probably tell that it's just been updated. Qualifying now off, and a 32-lap race, of course, around here. Neymar, by the way, in the comment section, he has just I've just seen a comment from him. I gained on that stop. Happy with it. You gained on that stop. You must have been... I think he gained nearly 30 seconds on the rest of the field. That was unbelievable.
Yeah. Like, if it had been one more lap, that top 5 would have been there. One more lap and it would have been top 5.
I feel sorry, by the way, for TTML F3. We're just getting the majority share of the viewers, and a big thank you to everyone if you are sharing out the stream, to family and friends and whoever might be tuning in. It is much appreciated. Go and give Mr. Mike and Mr. Storm, of course, some love for TTML F3 as well while you're at it. Tell them I sent you over there. And they've only got 8 viewers, so you may as well give them a view while we get set up, of course, here for TTML F2 and for the full race. But Ference, in the end, he looked second best, I've got to say, in that sprint qualifying. He was second best throughout. Jorg made one mistake, and that's what cost Jorg. He overheated those wet tyres, and then when they do overheat, they're pretty much like driving on ice. And that's so unfortunate for Jorg, because it looked like he had the pace for the majority of that. But one mistake, and Imola, of course, can cost you in terms of mistake. One mistake, took it in Ferrens' favour, and Ferrens is on for a third pole position in a row.
Yeah, like as Celia or as he told their friends, looked really strong this race, and he really impressed as well. Now getting the pole position. As I see F1MG in the chat. Such a shame I can't take part today because he seems to be really interesting. Really interesting. I think he missed that because it is too interesting, too much interesting. Like my excitement level is flying above the roof now.
And I see it as well. We've got a Husavik fan, by the way, in the comments section. I see Ya Ding Dong. If you don't know what that is, it is Eurovision, of course.
That could be, but I don't know. It's a friend of me, Norwegian, who always says that he's a Twitch streamer and he always says it's for fun.
It is fantastic. It looks like, though, we are about to get underway. It looks like the custom grid has already been set. Quick work, I've got to say, from Tom. So thank you very much, Tom, for getting us underway. And we are now prepared. 50% race, 32 laps. We should be in and around the 40-minute mark, 45 minutes-ish. And that's not if the safety cars. If the safety cars, it's probably going to be around 50 minutes-ish. So, hopefully, we are going to deliver. And if it's anything like spring qualifying, we are in for an absolute treat. With Ferrens and Jorg, of course, doing battle. Ferrens, can he win once again here in Imola?
I think so, but he won't get it free. He and Jorg will battle a lot. But someone we didn't talk that much about. He got P3 in the sprint race. He was going to start P3 now. Wolkongen climbed from P6 to P3, and he looked real strong in the wet weather as well. So I think I'm not sure if he can get a victory, but I think that he is going to be in the fight maybe with Jorg and friends for a little bit, and at least be in the top 3.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, honestly, we could see Frankie Fro right up there as well. Frankie Fro, I think, without that wheel spin, he would have been well up there. I think he's a very quick driver. We've seen him in intermediate conditions before. He's probably another guy to watch out for. And I held my breath there for 1 minute, thinking I was going to be coming into the apocalypse again in terms of the full wet conditions. But bone dry, sunshine, blue sky, beautiful Imola in its finery here. And honestly, this is what we want, because now it is an even playing field where, of course, everyone will not start on that dry compound of tyre, will start on that dry compound of tyre, but crucially, they're all going to be starting on fresh compounds of tyre, and of course it is the softs, mediums and hards that are the 3 tyres around here. In terms of strategy, Pariah, I've seen races around here, and honestly, we've had safety cars in the races, so it really doesn't compare much. But strategy around here, where are we expecting the soft runners to pit in from? Around lap 9, lap 10?
I would say lap 10, 11, 12 actually. Doing a soft medium, of course. And I think we'll see a few people maybe do medium soft. But of course, as it tells safety cars, they can do a lot here today.
Yeah, safety cars, I think, is going to be the order of the day. Ferrens to wide on top, Jorg there in second. Predicted one-stop strategy, softs to hards, lap 11 to 13, mediums to hards, lap 14 to 18, it says. Whether or not you trust the AWS graphics, that I don't, certainly on this stream, remains to be seen. But if you do trust them, that is the tyre that everyone is probably going to go on. And nobody, of course, is starting on that sort of hard compound of tyres. If we have a look now at the tyres, interesting, I've got to say. Ferrens on the set of softs in front. Jorg, however, set of mediums alongside him on track. So Jorg obviously will be hoping to try and get later on in the race. Ferrens, though, will be hoping to try and stretch out a gap pretty much for about 10 seconds before the pit stops.
Yeah, so when I said I think some may start on mediums, I think I missed out on that one because 11 people are starting on mediums and 5 on soft. So it looked like most of these drivers believe in taking a stronger part of the race in the second half of it, we can say, because of course being much faster than the soft. Then the only drivers for the soft actually Tom, Breakdef, Tijanis, Leroy, and Ferrens Wolkongen.
Yeah, mediums are so good on this track, by the way, says Arctic as well in the comment section. And both of them, of course, are starting on that set of medium compound tyres. Both Mercedes, I should say, are starting on that set of medium compound tyres. But as I say, it's interesting. Jorg really feeling like he could go for the set of mediums. Mediums definitely work better than the set of softs. It's a bit like Portimao, this track, if I've got to be honest, in terms of the strategy. The softs come online for about 2 or 3 laps. And then they're absolutely... Well, I was going to swear there, and I'm not. But they're poor in terms of the tyre life, and that's why the mediums, I think, are better around here. And Ferenc, I think, if he doesn't get a gap out at the end of this first lap, he's in trouble, because I think Jorg is just going to easily stick onto the back of him, and then, when his tyres start to go off, he'll pounce.
Yeah, one thing is for sure, an exciting race is what we are going to get. With that sprint qualifying, with only 16 laps, I can't imagine what we'll get for 32 laps.
Yeah, mediums and... what was that comment? I've just seen that. I was going to read it out and then make a joke. Mediums and Imola equals true love. I've got to totally agree. Myself and Pariah equal true love in the commentary box here tonight in TTML F2. Anyways, we are about to get going, of course, for the actual race. The 50% race now here in Imola. 32 laps awaiting these guys out on track. Ferenc on top, Jorg on the right-hand side of the grid. Ferenc there on the right-hand side of the grid, Jorg on the left side. 5 red lights are on. And it is... lights down, away we go, and Ferenc gets a better start than Jorg, and Jorg is in there in the slipstream, but Volakonga gets a better start of all of them, and he's going to try and slipstream down in towards turn 1, right on the back of Ferenc, and we right on board with them, down in towards turn 1 at Tamburello. Doesn't get the move done there, but Ferenc leads away. There's a car gone straight on the Tony Badger, who I think has been punted in the background. I think that might have been either Lewis Rocks or Noisy was in amongst that. Nicholas is side by side as well with Taze Leroy running down into the Villeneuve chicane, and Taze Leroy is through, and he's into 5th, but he actually gets outdone in terms of the traction, and now Tionis is trying to go all the way around the outside and toward Tulsa. That's the wrong car I'm on board with, and now Tionis is on the outside line. He's right alongside him, using up that deployment up the hill and toward Terratella. He is the car ahead. Taze Leroy, though, will not back this down without a fight. There's near contact, and there's a bit of a Constantino effect in behind as well, and Taze Leroy catches Brake FN napping as well, and I think Brake has got damage on the left side end plate, which is really unfortunate. Again, driving standards not as clean as what we would have hoped, but Ferenc leading the way. Volakongan's up to second. Jorg's already nearly a second behind Volakongan, so these two have absolutely flown off the start.
Yeah, what the start we got there? Another yellow flag. That's his Dresse.
Noisy.
He's been around. Dresse was around there in the Alta chicane, I think.
Yeah, we're right, sorry, it was Dresse. I was on board with Noisy, and I just called him out because I thought I saw him spin. In fact, it was the Haslats, but it was Dresse who spun. On the end of lap 1, though, Ferenc leading the way. Volakongan in second, Jorg in third. There is another yellow flag out on track, and Dresse is also at the final corner. So Dresse is also at the final corner, and it's a VSC that has been deployed. So VSC now deployed, it brings the racing to an end. Of course, these guys have to go 40% in terms of their speed limit normally. Of course, it doesn't set you in terms of the limit, but Volakongan looks like his delta time is probably a little bit more than what Ferenc is in. Ferenc obviously can dictate the pace, but Volakongan, I think he's going to have the better restart here. Look how much time he's getting. He was 1.2 seconds behind. It's now 0.6 of a second. So Volakongan clearly feels that Ferenc has got to go a lot quicker for him. However, Ferenc is going at his own pace in terms of the delta, and this is the problem with the delta times. Obviously, Ferenc and Volakongan are on 2 totally different delta times, as is the same further down the field.
Yeah, these delta times, I do know they have not been the most popular thing on this F1 2021 game with glitches, but I haven't seen so much glitches recently, so hopefully it's all good now.
Yeah, the car has been cleared, by the way. I thought we were getting back underway down in towards Ravazza, but we're not. The VSC is still out on track. Ferenc leading the way. Volakongan in second, and now I think we're about to go green flag racing. Ferenc speeds up, and Volakongan will try and follow suit. And again, I'm totally wrong because they're now going at half speed running down the straight. So Ferenc leading the way. Volakongan there in second. On to lap 3 we go. DRS will be enabled, of course, this lap around. I'm interested to see how Frankie Fro's going to get off this restart as well. He's right on the back of Neymar. Beautifully timed as well. He is on the back running down in towards Tamburello. Will not get the move done though when he waits in behind. The Australian, of course, will be wanting revenge from his wheel spin moment, of course, in the wet conditions in spring qualifying. He's already up into 9th position so far tonight. But a very good restart by all. Ferenc leading the way, Volakongan in second. They've pulled nearly 2 seconds clear of Jorg in third. In terms of the position changes as well, Tom has just lost a position to David Charhood. He's now up 4 positions. Tionis is also up 4 positions as well. Frankie Fro, Lewis are up 3. Noisy up 1, as well as Volakongan, of course, in second position. Speaking of Volakongan, he's just made a mistake at Aqua Minerale on the run towards Variante Alta, cut across the curb, and now it's a second. The gap between himself and Ferenc is side by side. Taze Leroy is going with Nicholas, and he's not going to think about going around the outside there. That was just silly, if I've got to be honest, from Taze Leroy. He does get the move done, but I think, honestly, his driving standards are probably going to come into question after this race.
Yeah, that was a really tricky one, but Nicholas is right on the back of him now, and of course there will be DRS now as Luis gets the first time penalty of this race.
Yeah, Nicholas on the back of Taze Leroy. He's out in the slipstream now, pulls to the inside line, running down in towards someone. Frankie Fro following through on Neymar as well and behind. So Nicholas is through and he's into P6. Frankie Fro through and he's into P8. Ferrance leading the way though. Volokongan looks on it, to be honest. He's 5/10 away. There was a bit of a mistake there from Nicholas. He just about kept that car going in a straight line. He's still in 6th position coming through the Villeneuve chicane. But Volokongan applying a bit of pressure now to Ferrance. And this is what we haven't seen so far this season. Ferrance has always had things his own way. Volokongan, on a fresh set of soft compounded tyres, I've got to be honest, looks quicker than Ferrance at this stage. And these two, 3.3 seconds clear of Jorg. And I wouldn't be surprised if this gap ranges up towards 10 seconds by the time we get in towards the first round of pit stops.
Yeah, Volkong and T-Johnson can actually mention that they may have it a little bit better today, since there's only 1.5 weeks since we drove at Imola actually in the Norwegian League. So these two had a lot of practice in driving there not so long ago, which is good for them today, as we see both P2, P5 now, but Volkong now, he's too far behind. I have found out that you need to be 7 or maximum 8 tenths behind starting in the DRS zone if you want to get an overtaking possibility into turn 1.
Well, Taze Leo was 3 tenths behind Nicholas, and he is going to get the move done. I think Frankie Fro was going to try and follow through as well. Down and toward Tamburello. Oh, Nicholas comes across on Frankie Fro. Not really sure if he caught his mirrors there, but Frankie Fro just about, that was nearly Bottas Russell-esque, if I've got to be honest. And now Nicholas, again, having to defend very hard from Frankie Fro. Frankie Fro's all over the back of him, I think, honestly. Nicholas picks up a 3-second penalty. Now Frankie Fro says, you know what, driving down the inside line, if you want to drive like that, I can drive even better. And Frankie Fro now down the inside line, in towards Piratella, should dispatch of Nicholas, who I think has actually got a little bit of side pod damage, if I'm not mistaken. I can see certainly a bit of a cut on that side pod on the left-hand side. There is a yellow flag through the middle sector, and it's Jorgensen through from P3, so Jorgensen from P3, and all of that as well. Frankie Fro was ahead of Nicholas, so he's disposed of him, and he's in 6th position, but now Jorgensen P9, and there's another yellow flag out on track, and that's Honey Badger around coming out of Tamburello.
A lot going on now, yeah. As we see, Honey Badger and Break FN, one of those people who pitted really early, and Break FN went on hard, and Honey Badger went on soft, so interesting to see the different strategies.
Hey, Volokongan! Somebody cut in! Oh, I thought he was going to go for the move! He doesn't! Ferrance still hangs on for the lead. Jonathan behind, however, will go for P3. So he's through and he's into P3, and Nicholas is coming back as well on Frankie Fro. And he now gets the job done cleanly this time, I've got to say, from Nicholas, and he's through and he's into P5. Got so excited there, I cut you off. I'm very sorry.
It's totally fine, of course. This fighting is insane behind Nicholas, so this is a fight for P6, which is great points here. And Neymar and Frankie Fro now, with that Neymar getting past him, actually. Yep. So could there be maybe some damage for Frankie Fro then on the side, but on floor?
Possibly. I think Nicholas, honestly, might be the one that has got a little bit of damage. Okay. Frankie Fro looks okay at the minute, but of course he did have that contact with Nicholas running down the straight and almost pretty much dodged him down in towards Simon. But look at look at this, what it's created now. Nicholas is not pulling away from these guys, and then they've got a massive DRS training behind. Tom is right on the back on a set of soft compounded tyres of this as well, and nobody is going to be going anywhere really, as Lewis is actually on the back of David Shawhood, and David now under pressure from Lewis, and Lewis now down in towards Ravata. Not quite close enough, and I think Volokongan, if I'm not mistaken, made a mistake last lap around as well, because he was more than a second off Ferrance. Did pick up DRS though, but he was more than a second off Ferrance, so that was quite interesting as well. Neymar though, on the back of Nicholas. Is he close enough down in towards turn 1? I wouldn't risk this if I was him. Oh, and he actually gets let through. As soon as I say that by Neymar, and he is there through, and Frankie Fro is through on Jorg, I think. In that? Yeah, he's through and he's into 8th, and Jorg is actually fighting back down into the Villeneuve chicane. Here they go, AlphaTauri against Aston Martin, inches apart, better contact. Jorg misjudges that in terms of his line, and Frankie Fro is sent spinning. Unfortunate there. I think Jorg, honestly, but neither of them had right of way the corner, and it's probably a racing incident.
Yeah. And within the chat, Ferrance and Volkong drive their own league up there, having an 8-second gap down to John is P3. So Volkong and Ferrance being like Hamilton and Verstappen.
They are being like Hamilton and Verstappen, and it's only lap 7. And what's that? What gap did I say it could be perceivably be towards the first round of pit stops? I said 10 seconds. Look at the gap now. It's 8 seconds. I might be right with this. Volokongan is on the back of Ferrans, however. He was within 7/10 of a second. But again, I don't think he's close enough. Ideally, to be honest, around this track, you have to be, what, 5/10 of a second, ideally, coming out the final corner to try and get a run. And then to try and get that overtake done, of course, on the back, down towards Tamburello. Jorge's on the back of Nicholas, and again, he's not going to get the move done down in towards turn 1. And everyone's just stuck in a big old DRS trim behind Neymar. And Neymar's trying to drag these guys along. And to be honest, Neymar's probably the right person to do this, because he's quicker than these guys. Jorge in 8th position is probably the quickest out the bunch. But in this current circumstance, Neymar there in 8th, as Frankie Fro was retired coming out of Tamburello. Jorge will try and get the outside line through on Nicholas, and it's another VSC as Jorge nearly goes into the back of Nicholas. Did he make contact with him? I don't think he did. I think he just about got away with that 5-second penalty.
Yeah, if they would have touched, we would have gotten, or they would have got the 5-second time penalties. Also, Arctic Smash, a big fan of your commentating, says you should commentate in real life, and I have to agree. James said the best commentator in the world, no cap.
Even better than George Morgan from PSGL?
I have never heard about him or the commentator. I barely watch PSGL, sorry.
Everyone's heard of George Morgan. What are you on about? The top 2 are in. Ferrans and Volokongan, however, are into the pit lane. So this now spices things up. Is the VSC going to be still out when these guys come out the pit lane? If not, I think this is a bit of a fake blow, to be honest, from these both, because they're going to lose time as opposed to gain time. And it looks like it's a set of hards for Ferrans. It's a set of mediums, interestingly, for Volokongan. And VSC has ended. Honey Badger's picked up a drive-through penalty. But look at where the guys are. They're halfway down the pit lane. DRS is re-enabled. Ferrans and Volokongan are going to lose out on this.
Yeah, they lose a lot, of course, but still, with these other drivers at the pit, they will lose even more. And I have to say, I remember I did a lot of practice at Imola, and I think Volokongan has gotten best out of this, because the mediums are so good on this track. As Arctic Smash said earlier in the chat, they can, oh, that was Lewis around, but I just finished. Those mediums can actually go from lap 5, I would think. They can go really long on this track, as long as you're good with time management and don't burn them up.
Oh, Nicholas and Jorge side by side, nearly down in towards Piratella, to the left-hander of Piratella. Doesn't get the move done. Tom in behind in this, probably wiping his hands if he was honestly on a wheel, which I don't recommend anybody wipe their hands at this point. But now, oh, and he misses! He actually had a bit of a moment himself, and Tom couldn't get the move done. He had a bit of oversteer coming out of Aqua Minerale. Jorge made a mistake in front. And it's unfortunate for Tom, because he would have looked to try and get that move done easily. He would have had that move done on Jorge. But he had a moment himself and had a bit of oversteer. But the way that Jorge had spun off the curb, that forced him into him. And it's really rotten luck, if I've got to be honest, from Tom there. So unlucky. Could have got the move done. Will have to wait back. David Charhood, however, is going to go for a move on Nicholas. And again, Nicholas darting across to the one side of the track from the other side. Really don't like that, to be honest, from him. Volokongan, by the way, going for the net race to the lead, and now Volokongan is through, down in towards Tamburello, gets the move done, saw them closing up to a 10th of a second, just called that in the best of times, and Volokongan is now through, and he's in to the net lead of this race. And looking at how Volokongan is going to drag Ferrans along, Ferrans keeps on more than less than a second in behind Volokongan. He could win this race.
Yeah, the fight for the win here is interesting between Volokongan and Ferrans. And if suddenly later in the race we get a safety car, then the interesting thing would be the guys who haven't pit, because they can, later in the race, if Tijanis and Tom and soft have pitted, but Sybil Superman, Neymar, David, Nicholas, Jorge on the mediums. Later in the race, get a safety car, they can go on softs maybe, and that could spice up the race. Of course, everyone could probably go on the soft, but thinking about the Volokongan and Ferrans now, and also Taste Leroy went into the pit while it was a virtual safety car, but he's 30 seconds behind.
Ferrans has got 97% of ERS to use up. And he's going to use that up now down the straight. He's not going to catch Volokongan, I don't think. Nicholas is catching David Charhood, however. Around the outside and towards Tamburello. And again, a bit of wishful thinking there from the German. I think, honestly, he just needs to pick out his battles where and when, to be honest. Jorgen's going to get through now down the outside line and towards Villeneuve chicane. Does get the move done. Nicholas backs off that nicely. Will try and get the undercut through, but Jorgen's now through. Down in towards Tulsa corner at turn 7. So Jorgen's through and he's into 5th position and manages to make up really for an early mistake and obviously that tyre strategy that he had earlier on as well. Volokongan, 2.5 seconds behind Tom, catching quite quickly, around a second, 1.2 seconds this lap, runs wide, coming out of Piratella, however, and that is the sort of mistakes that Ference will need, because honestly, I'm not going to ratify by saying this Volokongan at all, but I just think as there's yellow flag in Sector 1 and to break FM that's round, Volokongan, it seems to me he's a better driver in the wet conditions as we've seen tonight, compared to a set of dries. I always tend to think he struggles on a set of dry compound tyre. And Ference, on a set of hard, you would imagine Volokongan would be 1.2, 1.3 seconds up the road. But Ference is there, 6 tenths behind him, and Ference is doing a good job. And it's almost as if, and I'm really going to be brutal to say this, it's almost as if Ference is not breaking sweat and behind him.
Yeah, Ference looking really strong at catching on a Volokongan in turn 1, but I don't think we'll see an overtake here tonight. But as also Ference, if this is based on hard tires, I would agree with you. Maybe is that Luke Swift retard on track has crashed out?
Safety car.
Safety car. Whoa.
But this doesn't.
Well.
But this doesn't do anybody any harm, really, apart from the top 7 who are yet to pit into they're going to be really, really well behind. Obviously, the gap is going to the gaps are going to come down. They're going to be squashed down right down, pretty much under the safety car. But however, these guys are going to forfeit 20 to 25 seconds at a very consummate estimate in the pit lane. So these guys will have to catch up to the back, and this has really helped out Volokongan and Ference, I think, more than anything else. Volokongan more so, he's on that set of medium compounder tyres, and if he gets above 70%, there's always a chance, of course, that you can pick up a puncture more than 70% into the race. He is obviously going to be leading, but Ference is going to be right on the back of him, and it's going to be a bit of a knock-on effect, and it's going to be interesting as well to see, as we're on lap 13 now, what the majority guys do. Because Chonas has gone into a set of medium compounder tyre.
Ference in the pits.
Ooh. Interesting. Is this for? This has to be for a set of mediums, surely.
Yeah, Tom and T. John, they could set of mediums. And the other Simple Superman, Neymar, David, Jorg, and...
Oh! Jorg's gone on a set of inters! Jorg's gone on a set of inters! This is unbelievable! But actually, no! This might work out quite good because it's a mandatory. You've got to use 2 dry compound of tyre. He's on a set of inters. Has he chosen wrong, or is this purely a tactical ploy by Jorg, or has he just came out on the wrong tyres? It wouldn't be the first time I've seen him do this, to be honest. He did it last season in TTML F1, and Jorg on a set of inters. So unfortunate. Whether or not he's mistaken the tyres, whether or not it's a glitch in the game, whether or not it's a tactical ploy, obviously, to go on to another set of dry compound of tyres, remains to be seen. But Jorg now, 6th position, set of inters, he's on everyone up and behind as well, and you've got to feel sorry for him because he's now going to be behind Taze Leroy and down in 10th position.
Yeah, and what you told about Jorg there, really interesting because he started on the mediums, didn't he?
He did start on a set of mediums.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I've just seen a comment in there, and I think he's totally right. I don't think it is a tactical, anything tactical whatsoever. I think it's purely either a glitch within the game, or he's just purely put on the wrong set of compounder tyre. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, because I don't even see, I don't see how this is tactical. The only reason is that he would like to go on mediums, but he can't because of you have to use 2 different tires. But then you can just sit on soft tires, take this lap and go in again, put in mediums.
Yeah, and Jorg, as I say, you have to feel so sorry for him. I've been in this position before when I've put on the wrong set of tyres, and it really bites you down in terms of the mental strength to try and get through this race. And Jorg, honestly, for him, I think now is probably the time to come in, set a medium compound tyres, refocus on that race, he is going to be possibly behind Break FN when he comes out the pit lane. AlphaTauri pit box is about halfway down the pit lane, but I think Break FM, the way that he's closing in at, I think he's going to be behind him. But fortunately for Jorg, of course, he is going to be on that sort of medium compounded tyres. And do you know what? 3 of the guys ahead of him, Simply Superman, Neymar, David Charhold, they're on a set of hards. So they're going to be slower than what Nicholas is, for example, on a set of softs. And then, of course, the guys around him are on a set of mediums as well. So this has worked out kind of favourably for Jorg, but it's just one of those things, I think. It's just human error. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and also I was thinking, Nicholas, he'll have to do another pit stop, of course, soft. And those soft, they can't go 20 laps.
If they go 18 laps, honestly, I will eat a hat. Quite literally, I will eat a hat. Not live on the stream, but I will eat a hat. And I'm hoping now that those set of soft compounded sides do not get to the end of the race, now that I've promised that. It's 17, it's basically 18 laps. He's got to get that set of soft compounded side there. We saw how quick they went off in the first stint, and they were fresh compounded tyres as well. So Nicholas is probably... He has got a chance, to be honest. Noisy and Honey Badger aren't on the back of the safety car queue yet, and Honey Badger actually is, so we're only waiting on Noisy. So Honey Badger's been lapped, I think. And it's only Nicholas could technically pit in, join behind Noisy, and then the safety car comes in next lap around and he's on a better set of tyres. Have to wait and see. No, he's not coming in.
No, so I was thinking about these drivers on the hard tires. Of course, they're planning on going to the end. The same as most of these drivers on the medium, or everyone on medium probably. But I haven't seen many people do hard tires on this track before. So I'm not sure if Superman, Neymar, and David have done the smart choice here. But I think the thing is they start on mediums, so that's probably why they did it as well.
Well, look at Ferrens. Before the safety car came out, look at Ferrens, and look at how easily he was behind Volakongen. He was easily behind Volakongen. This is going to be a bigger DRS train, so the more overtaking is probably going to happen down the start-finish straight, the more likely it is you're going to get caught up in a bit of backwash. So, hopefully, these guys are all going to be quick. Honey Badger, by the way, is in the middle of this pack. He is there. I think he's about 4 from the back, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got Taze Leroy Jorg. Is it Taze Leroy Jorg? Let's have a look. It is Taze Leroy that's behind him. It's Break FN, Jorg, and then Noisy. So those are the 4 cars behind him. And Honey Badger, obviously, the goal sim will come into effect, hopefully, on the end of this safety car lap. But he will have to, of course, get out the way because it is in the rules. But Volakongen, I think safety car is probably going to be coming in this lap any second, around about now, I was thinking. There we go. Perfect timing. Volakongen is now the virtual Bert Marlander. He's now the virtual safety car. And now he's on 5 lap all tyres against Jonas, who's on 1 lap all tyres. Who would you be favouring out of the both TNR drivers at this stage? I know it's quite hard to pick.
Oh, I think I have to go with Volakongen because I know he's really good on this tire management. So he have 5 laps in those mediums. I think I'll take him now.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see if he can get a really good start. Down and towards Ravata, I think, is probably the best way to go. He is still holding up the pace. He's quickening up the pace slowly but surely. And now he says go in towards Ravata. Through turn 18 and 19 we go. And Volakongen has already exploded away. He's a second clear of Jonas coming out the final corner. And look at the gaps that are in behind as well. Ferrens is right on the back of Tom coming across the start-finish line. Of course, they can't overtake until they come across the start-finish line. David's trying to warm up his tyres in front of him. And now Tom and Ferrens and possibly Nicholas are going side by side. Suddenly Ferrens is down the inside line and Tamburello. What a move on the brakes that is. Beautiful move. Nicholas is through as well on that set of soft compounded tyres and he's going to carve his way through the field. He's now behind Ferrens. He's through on Tom and Tom didn't get a great restart at all. Ferrens though he's in 6th. He means business, our championship leader. Nicholas though following soon and behind on a set of softs, and we've seen with Nicholas's driving so far tonight, he will not lie down from a fight whatsoever if granted. And Ferrens on the back of David Charhold now has to try and get the move done this lap around. Otherwise, he's pretty much got no chance of trying to get the race win.
Yeah, Ferrens there, as it's all, he trusted those brakes going into turn 1. And I think how late to break. I was on board with him, and I was like,
oh, Taze Levo, somebody cut in. Taze Levo goes around the outside into the variant Alta, and again he gets chopped up at the bit there, and Breaker Fairness now side by side with him running down. I think Taze Levo is just about to hang on down in towards Ravazza, and he does for now. He's still in P9.
Great fighting there. Now it's the Nicholas on Friends as well, and Friends on David. Also, they're closing in. How much of trust is Friends giving into those breaks? And they're also catching on Neymar now. Hornebacher has now retired in the pit there.
Yeah. Yep, he's retired in the pit lane.
Behind David.
He's retired in the pit. Yeah, Ferrens is right behind Neymar, by the way, coming down in towards the BNL chicane as well. He's in 5th and 6th position. David seems to be struggling. Maybe a little bit of underlying damage there. Nicholas is down the inside line of Ferrens. Tries to get the move done. Spins on the curb as well. Just about. He got that car stopped somehow just before the curb came to him. He's then spun on the curb, but he still managed to get the move done, which is unbelievable. He's thrown his into P6 on that sort of soft compound tyre. And Ferrens now, he is in a really big situation. Should he have came in to change from that sort of hard compound tyres? Because Neymar just lets Nicholas through, and Neymar now can hold Ferrens up, and Nicholas really attacking the track limits here. Neymar there in 6th. Ferrens, though, I think, wrong call. I think he should have stayed on a sort of hards, because he still would have been in 2nd.
That's true, and he wouldn't have been the only one on hard, so Superman, David and Neymar, they would probably hold up, not on purpose of course, but since they're with not hard tracks, they would hold up some of his rivals, probably. So Friends out to P6 now, past Neymar, closing it to Nicholas as well, but as you say, he should maybe have stayed out, I think.
I think, you know, given how Volakongan was off the start, if Ferrens followed him, Ferrens normally is stuck on, like, literally super glue. We saw it in Baku last week. He was stuck like super glue to the back of the man in P1 underneath the safety car restart. And Ferrens, in the end, ended up winning that race by nearly 10 seconds. And Ferrens, honestly, I think, it was wrong call. Simply Superman is losing time, albeit to Tionas. It's 2.1 seconds now. But that gap is going to come down. Those sort of hards are beginning to come into play. Mediums are probably better at this stage still, but that sort of hards are probably going to be quicker later on in the race. Volakongan, though, still leading the way. Tionas there in 2nd, Simply Superman in 3rd, David Charhood in 4th, Nicholas in 5th, and Nicholas right on the back of David, running down in towards Ravazza once again. And speaking of right on the back as well, Tom right under pressure now from Taze Leroy, and Neymar's getting caught in this as well. And Tom and Taze Leroy nearly come into contact down and towards Ravazza. Jorgen Noisy probably napping this up in behind as well, thinking, you know what, guys, make contact, and we've been through two positions. Basically, Nicholas now on the back of David Charhood, running down the straight. Look at the speed he's going at down the straight, 203 mile an hour, and David says, you know what, I'm backing out of this. I know what David's like. And now Nicholas is through, and he's into P4. Taze Leroy has got the move done. I think that was around the outside of Tamburello. If it was a brilliant move, and Taze Leroy now through, and he's into 8th position as well.
I was looking at it, it went on the inside before and braked much later than Neymar. So Neymar was 2 places there.
And it's a beautiful switchback from Nicholas coming through Tulsa corner at turn 7. He gets the move done. So Nicholas, on that sort of soft compound tyre, has now got 2.6 seconds to catch. But is it going to be 2.6 seconds? Because remember, he's got more penalties than Volakongan and Tionas. He's got 9 seconds worth compared to Volakongan and Tionas on 3. And Volakongan has just picked up that third warning. Therefore, 3-second penalty. So now opens up the race possibly if Simply Superman can keep onto the back of Nicholas, which I don't think is likely because he's on the sort of hard compound tyres. He will probably be the benefactor in terms of winning this race. I honestly think, though, at this stage in the race, I think Ferrens is going to win it because he looks quicker than the guys ahead of him on that sort of hard compound tyre, and he'll be proven down the straight here because look at the tow that he's going to get from both of them. He's closing in down in towards David Charhood at turn 1, down in towards Tamburello, but it's not on the back, and he proved me wrong there because I thought he was going to go for the move, but he didn't.
Yeah, Friends looking strong here and as well. Lost that Volakongan actually got a time penalty as well, which will be good for Friends.
And look at the gap as well. It's fluctuating between 4 and 6 cents per second now, the gap to the lead. And Volakongan's doing a good job, but Tionas is looking quicker. Tionas is looking quicker now out on track. I mean, he's beginning to weather into this track, weather into the setup as well. He's doing a phenomenal job. Nicholas there in P3, and then Simply Superman, David Child, and Ferrant are all in a bit of a scrap in behind. And Ferrant, actually, what a move that is! I think David made a mistake, or did he just run wide? I don't know. If he didn't make a mistake there, that's a lovely switchback coming out of Aqua Minerale. And Ferrant has absolutely outdone David there, through and he's into 5th, and now Simply Superman ahead of him. I did say he might win this race.
Could be up for it. That I have to agree on that. There's so many drivers actually looking forward to be fighting for the victory now, and at the moment I'll have to say
Friends. Speed.
Oh yeah, Friends now. Wow, that's no chance for Simple Superman to defend that one. No chance. So Friends while coming into Johnny's. Nicholas, he's looking strong, but he'll have to do another pit stop.
He will. He might have to do another pit stop. We don't know if he's going to go to the end of the race. I would assume if he doesn't pit in the next couple of laps, I think he will possibly come in. He will not come into the pit lane before the end of this race. York, by the way, fighting Tom up in towards Piratella. It was looking quite close there between them both. York tried to get the run in towards Tulsa, but couldn't get quite the move done. Tom there in 8th position, York there in 9th, and York has picked up a 3-second penalty as well. I thought he was actually free of the penalties, but he's not. He's on 3 seconds worth of penalties. Taze Leroy's just picked up another penalty out on track as well. Nicholas closing in on Sionis though. It's 2.2 seconds now the gap. It was 1.9. Look at Ferrance though. Ferrance is already on the back of Nicholas, and I'm really not surprised as Taze Leroy has spun coming through Aqua Minerale on the outside curb, I think, or through Variante Alta even, that was. And Taze Leroy now right down in the back of the field, but Ferrance on the back of Nicholas. This is surely it. Nicholas is a sitting duck running down the straight here, and now the Dutchman, the championship leader, with the new fastest lap to boot as well, absolutely sails on by down the Imola straight, and Ferrance is now through, and he's into P3, and look at what's happening further down the field, because both Avataris are on the move. York is there through and he's into 7th, and Noisy is through on Neymar and he's into 9th position as well. Ferrance beginning to come alive. 2.6 seconds to Ferrance is nothing.
Oh, there's Leroy. Sorry, I didn't totally catch up to that. So we're only 11 drivers left in the race.
We are only 11 drivers left in the race. Taze Leroy has left the session. His car, I think, is stationary in the pit lane, which will retire in the pit lane, which is good. Actually, it's just moving out now. So, that car might cause a few problems. However, it's just gone. So that is really good news, and the car is now gone. Simply Superman picked up a 3-second penalty. Ferrance isn't getting away from Nicholas, though. It's 0.5 of a second coming through Variante Alta. And Nicholas is hanging on. 33% ERS. Ferrance has used up a lot of ERS, by the way. He's on 16% ERS on the bottom. But Ferrance is catching Sionis. He's caught 0.5 this lap, and now the Dutchman closing on the Norwegian. This is on for Ferrance, but he's got to wait in behind. He's got to watch him behind because Nicholas is going to come storming down the straight. Ferrance gets another fastest lap of the race as well. Is Nicholas going to be close enough down in towards turn 1? I don't think he is this occasion around, and Ferrance will stay in P3. But the big thing that Ferrance has got to hope for, DRS train ahead of them. Volakongen and Turnas is only 0.3 of a second. Ferrance is within 3 seconds at the minute to both of them, so we're picking up the race win nonetheless. But Ferrance has got to rely on the cornering at this moment in time compared to the straights, because those guys in front are in a DRS train. Ferrance isn't. And I mean, as soon as I say that, it's 1.8 seconds now, the gap. And Ferrance now doing a phenomenal job. Volakongen still leading the way. Sionis in second. Lap 24 to 32 about to begin. Tom has picked up a 3-second penalty. And Nicholas, how many penalties do you get before you get disqualified? He's on 15 seconds now, is Nicholas. He's in trouble, I think, before the end of this race.
Nicholas also had a bad Aqua Mineral exit, so he lost a bit almost out of the second now on Friends.
Yeah, if you are still tuning in, by the way, I really, really appreciate for tuning in. 27, by the way, I've just realised, tuning in, which is fantastic. Noisy's into the pit lane, so if that's anything to go by, Noisy's got nothing to lose. Obviously, he was just ahead of Break FN, but he's got nothing to lose to set the fastest lap of the race. And it's not an extra point, I don't think, in this race. It was in the sprint, but the fastest lap of the race might be an extra point. Oh, actually, no, the fastest lap of the race is an extra point, I should say. So, we might get the fastest lap point Again here, I don't know in terms of the format, but still, very good going so far. Volokongan leading the way, Jonas in second, but, as I say, I've been right pretty much without entire my predictions so far this race. Ference is 1.5 seconds off. He's pulled away from Nicholas, catching Jonas and Volokongan. I think Ference is going to be close enough to go from move lap 29, I think. I think it'll be within a second before then, but I think it's going to be lap 29. He'll try and go for the move, because I know Jonas is not going to wait until the final lap of the race.
Nice, a great prediction there. Ference closing in a little bit now on Tijani's. I think he go for a move around the same time, maybe lap 28 or maybe also 27.
I was going to say lap 28, and then I realised I might be a little bit wishful thinking, because normally when drivers actually go for the moves, and speaking of moves, I think Yorkbike try and get the move here on David Child. Look at the speed he's got, 205 mile an hour, carried down in towards Tamburello, and Simply Superman was nearly a sitting duck there, and he didn't look very superhero-like out on track there, running down in towards turn 2. That's the first of what has been not many puns tonight, unbelievably. Simply Superman in 5th, David Childhood in 6th, and Jorg still in 7th position. But look, Ference now within a second. So my theory, I think, is starting to come right, because now he's latched onto the DRS train. We've seen how quick he's been behind the DRS zone as well. Ference, again, this man is just looking super quick.
Ference is catching in on Tijani's and Volokongan really fast. He also doesn't have any time penalties, which will be really good for him. And I actually think he can also cross the line in P1 as well. We see a friend of mine, Ivan, in the chat. Hello, Farah. Which division is this? This is second division.
It is the second division. It's the one behind the top tier, is what I will say, in just plain old English. This is F2, F1 of course on a Sunday, F3 running alongside this tonight. I think it's still going as well, but I really hope you are enjoying this, and if you enjoyed the sprint qualifying, I hope you're going to enjoy the final 4-5 laps of this race, because this is beginning to build nicely in terms of crescendo. And David Charhold, I thought, was going to absolutely spring it around the outside of Simply Superman like a spring funky chicken. Yes, I can see him in the comment section there. David Charhold is nearly into 5th position, but he's not quite. And he hasn't got any penalties at this stage either. So, could he be within a chance of getting a possible podium finish? I think it's unlikely, but he could still try.
He could be there, but he's on a hard target, so I don't think it will be easy for him, but maybe because those soft and mediums, and Nicholas, he's trying to get to the end of those soft. If not, he would not go so far. So he's trying, and I respect that. Now the task is to actually do it as well. But David, you can maybe then gain on Nicholas and maybe Volokongan as well if he loses time on those mediums.
Yeah, I think he will, to be honest. And yeah, Volokongan and Jonas are losing times on a set of mediums, but they're still doing a good job. Jonas is on the same strategy as Ference, and Ference has looked quicker because he's had no dirty air, and he's now obviously on the back of these two in front. There's not going to be a move down in towards turn 1 between these guys. Volokongan still leading the way. 6 laps to go. Volokongan, Jonas and Ference the top 3. What order are they going to finish in? You'll have to stay tuned in, of course, and find out. Simply Superman try to spring one again on Nicholas down in towards turn 1. Nicholas's tyres are shot. I've got to be honest, they're shot. If they're not 70% now, then I don't know what is. Jorg, by the way, is down the inside line on the Villeneuve chicane. Beautiful move that. David, I think, backed off that, let him through. But Jorg is through and he's into 6th position. And he is on a bit of a recovery mission in this race. Obviously, he spun earlier on. He obviously had the intermediate strategy. He obviously had a choice of tyre originally from the get-go in terms of this race. So Jorg, I think, has done a solid job in 6th. To get where he is now, I think he's done a solid job.
Yes, he's doing a great job here, currently P6 with his teammate on P10. P10 going for, or Noisy going for the fastest lap, as also within the chat telling as well.
Yeah, Ference is on the back of Jonas, and I think this might be the move. You did say lap 28, so I will give you credit. Ference might be on the back of Jonas here. Is he going to be close enough, though, to go for the move? I think it's going to be next lap around. I don't think this is going to be the move down the straight. Just watching on board, And look, Jonas is catching Volokongan, and in fact, it could be the move for the lead of the race. That could be happening, but Volokongan will hang on. Jonas there in second, Ference in third. 4/10 of a second, they come down in towards turn one. Oh, and there's a bit of contact in behind. Simply Superman and Nicholas getting a little bit aggressive down the straight. I'm not sure if Nicholas moved across and Simply Superman or vice versa. But as Yoga spun.
I got wing damage as well there.
Unfortunate. Really unfortunate. He could go fastest lap attempt. That's the only saving grace.
It is. It's his teammate who currently has it into noise, I think.
Oh, goodness me. Anyways, 4.5 laps to go. This race is building still very nicely. This battle for the top 3 is building very nicely. Volokongan, I think, I'm not sure if there's been an instruction, but Jonas is just looking a little bit wary in terms of his tyres. Ference is there, 3/10 behind him. Now, is it going to be lap 29 we go on to for the move to be completed? Let's see. He's 9/10 behind Jonas on Volokongan, and he's just outside of a second. And look at Ference. Look at the run that Ference has got now on the back of Jonas. And I'm going to be right, I think. Is he going to spring a move around the outside and towards Tamburello? I don't think he's got the toe. He's run out of the ERS down the straight, and that's what cost him. It could have easily been a move, but it's not. In Ference now still in P3, and yet we wait another lap between these guys.
Yeah, that was a close one, but T-John has just had a DRS, which made it harder for Ference. So Ference stays P3, but also you don't have to stress about this position, but because T-John and Volkan, they both have time penalties. Ference doesn't have it.
Have we lost our... Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you just stopped talking. I was expecting you to go further on. Sorry.
No, I didn't have anything else to say.
I'm normally so good with the judgment. I was expecting you just to ramble on a little bit there. Goodness me, Volokongan's still leading the way. Jonas in second, Ference in third. It's not lap 29, and I don't think it's going to be lap 30 either. These guys, Volokongan and Jonas, are doing a solid job. Volokongan now beginning to pull away. Is this, though, his second wind in terms of his tyres to try and get this race win? These are the deciding laps now. 3 laps to go here in Imola. I don't think there's going to be another safety car or VSC going to be deployed out on track. Volokongan, though, leading the way. Jonas in second. If I was Ference, I'd be harvesting that ERS now on this lap to try and have a go at Jonas. And Jonas ran deep, and David is there side by side with Nicholas. And look at Tom. Tom is going to outdo Nicholas down in towards turn 1 as well. So David and Tom are through and into 5th and 6th position they go. Ferrari and the Red Bull through, and the Mercedes' tyres are looking absolutely cooked.
Yeah, those tyres, they are done, and these last 3 laps I think it will actually lose a little bit to these drivers, because maybe Neymar actually can challenge him on these hard tyres, because those soft, they're dead.
They are dead, and I think honestly he should have came in, possibly picked up that fast at that point. He would have been maybe ahead of Noisy as well. It's a chance gone missing really for Nicholas, if I've got to be honest. Obviously he's got more penalties than the rest of the field as well in terms of his track limits abuse, but Volokongan leading the way. David Child has just made a mistake coming out of Aqua Minerale. It's still a 10th of a second between these guys now. But is this move going to happen for Ference and Jonas? I don't think it is. I think these guys have got enough pace to hang on Volokongan and Jonas for this for certainly first and second out on track. But Ference, of course, is in the prime speed. He's in the hot seat at the minute. But Ference picked up a 3-second penalty, wide open.
And also now Tom on David, 4/10, closing in 3/10. I think you'll get this. It's going to go to the outside or inside. It's going to go to the inside of the Ferrari down toward turn 1, and he gets the overtake done. Easy done for the Red Bull driver with the medium tires as well.
Yeah, Neymar's booted one into touch as well, and he's into 7th position. I'm sorry, I really have to say that. Neymar's through and he's into 7th. Nicholas down into 8th. Nicholas is still going to be on for 8th position, possibly, but he's got 15 seconds worth of penalties. Noisy's got 6, and I think it's enough at this stage for Nicholas to get on. Ference, by the way, is on the back of Jonas. Jonas now holding back Volokongan, but still, if you hold him back enough... Jonas's tyres are looking shot. They're absolutely cooked coming up into the Variante Alta, and it's the rears that really take the hits around here. And look at Ferrans. Is he going to go for the move down in towards Ravazza? I think he's going to wait to the straight, but this is it. Ferrans can get the move done on Jonas. We've had to wait until the final lap of the race for these two to have a battle, but we're now about to see it. And I think, honestly, we're on board with the man who is going to take P2. It's Ferrans on the back of Jonas. Down the straight, look at the straight line speed in excess of 200 mile an hour. Jonas cannot respond, and Ferrans on the inside curve through 1. Now in towards the Tamburello chicane at 2 and 3. He is through and he's into second position. Final lap of the race, and Ferrans now, as long as he keeps it within the white lines and doesn't pick up a 3-second penalty, he's won this race.
Yeah, Fritz, only 1.1 behind Volkong now. Doesn't have any penalties to say there. She said, I actually get a purple first sector. That's how fast Fritz is going now. You know, on these old tires. Of course, I think the DRS has shifted down towards turn 1 helped him a lot. That was an Alpha Terry going slow there.
Yeah, it was Jorg. I think he had a moment down in Variante Alta. Volkongen, however, can Ferrans get this done out on track is what I'm thinking. He's got 5% DRS now. He's really wanting this out on track as Ferrans. I don't think it's going to be good enough. I think it's going to be Volkongen to win the race. Jonas has just had a major moment though and behind. Goodness me, he's nearly spun that car coming out of Variante Alta, and in fact he tries to have a go down in towards Ravazza, but now through the final corner at Ravazza through turn 18, now through the right hander of turn 19, Volkongen wins out on track, but because of the penalties, Ferrans, this man cannot be stopped. Ferrans has won here in Imola, Volkongen in second, Jonas in third. Hats off to Volkongen and Jonas for getting 23 and 19 Apple mediums done respectfully in the end. Great race from them. Simply Superman in the end in fourth. David is in fifth. Neymar with no penalties, or hardly any penalties, in sixth. With Tom now down in seventh. He crossed the line of fourth, I think, in the end of fifth. And now he drops to seventh. Nicholas spins his car across the line and crashes it coming across the line as well. Noisy across the line will gain positions, as will Break FN. And it's only 0.8 of a second actually between Break FN and Nicholas in the end. And you have to feel sorry for this man here, Jorg. He is on for fastest lap attempt. I don't think he's going to get it. He's already got the fastest lap, so it doesn't really matter. But Jorg now running to the line, and he actually goes a little bit quicker on that time, I think. So Jorg with a 15.2 to round us off. That was, though, Imola at its absolute finest. David Charhold is awarded Driver of the Day by the in-game fans. But for me, Pariah, there's only one man, Ferrans.
And I totally agree with you, friends. What a man. An incredible performance here today, getting on top of that podium in front of the Norwegians. And for me as well, seeing 2 Norwegian flags, that's a proud Norwegian moment.
It has to be 3 Norwegian flags. Can anybody knock Ferrans off his top step of the podium? You have to find out, of course, next week in round 4 of the championship, which I'll come on to in just a second, but I'll run you through the final grid order here, of course, in Imola tonight, from, of course, a dramatic sprint qualifying, and hopefully they'll come up. Yep, there we are. Ferrans has taken the win. Pole position, not the fastest lap, so not the Grand Slam, but pole position and the race win. Great going from Ferrans, and he's still unbeaten, 3 out of 3. Volkongen in second, drove phenomenally well on those worn tyres, I've got to say. Jonas in third as well. Good drive, good solid drive from both Norwegians. Simply Superman there in fourth. David Charhold, I think, drove an absolute sensational race. 15th up to 5th. Drove astutely. Everything around him went his way. And David with no penalties picks up 5th. Neymar with no penalties as well in 6th. Tom in 7th. Noisy in 8th. Break FN 9th. Nicholas running off the top 10. Jorg still picking up points there in 11th. Taze, Leroy, Honey Badger, Lewis, Frankie Fro and Dressy, the 5 DNFs so far out of this race. But Ferrans has won. Volkongen in second. Jonas in third. My voice is absolutely cooked, but do you want to try and get the top 3 in?
We can get the top 3 now. I'll add them to the voice chat.
Fantastic stuff. And of course we do have one more sprint race to come. That's not until round 8 of the championship, of course, and that is of course in France. But next week we go to Monaco without the barriers, basically. It is the Hungaroring, and it is a fantastic track. The 2nd to the 5th of December for TTML F2 and F3, and for F4 and F5, and for F1 as well when we get to that. But Hungary, in terms of a track, Pariah, I know you're busy with the invites, but But Hungary, in terms of the track, how is it to drive on this game?
On this game, I would say it's not one of the good tracks, but it's not one of the bad tracks. It's not a personal favorite, but it's fun to drive league racing at. And there's in league racing, it's so much easier to do overtakes and fighting than in real life. Maybe it's because, yeah, more guts and glory here than in real life. I don't know, but still, I think it's an underrated track actually, to be honest, because that's many people hate it, and I can understand why. But still, underrated track.
Yeah, honestly, that curve coming through, I think it's turn 4, turn 5, that left-hander at the end of the first sector is literally the worst corner on any F1 track. But then again, we've got Jeddah this game, so I'm happy to be obliged and take up a fight, possibly, with that. But hopefully we will get the top 3. And Nicholas, by the way, saying in the Discord, he had 93% soft compound tyres towards the end of his race. That's unbelievable. How on earth did they not puncture, is my first question.
Yeah, that's a miracle that Nicholas tires didn't puncture us. We have got the first one into the chat. That's the driver across the line, P1, but got P2. The one and only Volkongen.
It is Volkongen indeed, and of course a P2 finish, obviously with the penalties not going your way whatsoever. Ference, of course, taking the win out on track. But Volkongen, you took the win out on track. Talk us through that race, because that was pretty exciting towards the end.
First I have to say my English is really bad, so and Piriah knows that. But yeah, it was a fun race, and I don't know what to say, but the sprint format was very fun, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, you enjoyed it a lot, and honestly, that sprint qualifying was unbelievable. I think it was probably one of the best things I think I've seen, certainly on this game. But talk us through that safety car period, because obviously you chose to stay out on that set of medium compound of tyre. Was it crucial for you not to try and pick up a 3-second penalty to try and grab the win out on track?
Yeah, it was a stupid 3 warnings. I should have avoided that, but yeah, I just hope that the mediums would last, and they did.
They did indeed, and it was a solid drive, I've got to say, from you. Probably nearly driver of the day, if I've got to be honest. I'm going to give mine, I think, by giving ours to Ference, which I think is totally respectful, given, obviously, how that race panned out. Piriah, though, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Not any questions, but Volkongen, great job as a Norwegian fellow Norwegian, and of course that beautiful Trondheim English there.
Thank you.
My final question before you go there, Volkongen. Next week, Hungary, how do you think you'll get on?
Oh, that's a track I haven't practiced a lot on yet, but we'll see. I think it's going to be fun as well.
Yeah, hopefully it will be. Obviously, we're back to the original format as well next week, so drivers hopefully won't get taken by surprise. But Volkongen, go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Very welcome indeed. Have we got Tionis joining us as well?
No, we only get Volkongen there. No one of the others have joined.
We have only got Volkongen. I know Ference never really joins because he has to go to bed for school in the morning, which is totally understandable. We all live our lives, of course, and Ference, of course, making it a back-to-back 3 out of 3. Can anybody stop him, of course, going into Hungary? That will be the main question. However, Piriah, final thoughts from you and overall driver of the day.
Overall drive today, I'll give it to Friends and Neymar. Mega shared the hero. I think Neymar, he just impressed me today, really, with the sprint race as well, and also on the hard tires in the race, or the 50% race as well, getting that P6 with not a single warning. And first time ever commentating F2. I barely watched F2, but wow, I really don't regret this, because this was so much fun.
I wish you could do it every week, but no, Pepsi Freak's back next week, stuffed to his face with turkey, obviously, with Thanksgiving. And if you are, of course, American, happy Thanksgiving over there. It is one of those days, of course, that we can all celebrate. And obviously, I watched my traditional Thanksgiving video of, I think it was Mac Juggernuggets, who is the kid that absolutely throws his turkey about and everything, which is quite nice. And hopefully Pepsi Freak has not got to that stage just yet with his family. I'm sure he's listening in. But there we are, and that is it for tonight for the TTML F2 stream. Really hope you enjoyed it. Big thank you, by the way, Pariah, for coming in at very short notice, I've got to say, to do commentary alongside me. Much appreciated. Of course, well done to our top three of Ferenc, Volokongen and Tionas. And of course, myself and Pepsi Freak will be back to the traditional commentary box next week. And we will be seeing you, of course, next week in Hungary. But more action to come on the channel. F4 and F5 tomorrow night. Pariah, you're taking the reins, of course, for F5 tomorrow night. What can we expect, certainly from F5, so far from this season?
So far in the F5 season?
Yep.
Oh, hard to say. Senna is one of the strongest drivers there, and who others? We got Organ Jamie. Gotta remember these names. I'm not good at that. Odd Angle, he has been really unlucky, but he shows he got the pace for maybe podium fights. Sidegates as well, really strong driver, driving in the Haas, and also Smitsky, who you probably all know. He always, or me and Beck talk about, he always starts on the alternative strategy, but he always ends up getting so many positions on it.
Yeah, he's a bit like somebody that I know called Ballboy57, who normally does that. He's trying to get every single thing out of his race, which is fantastic. But F5, of course, jump tomorrow night as well. If you do want to tune in, by the way, for something else, PSGL Esports Cup event tomorrow night, 8 PM UK time, PSGL channel. I will see you there, of course. I have to get that out every single stream. Sunday, of course, it is TTML F4. Myself and Luke Etheridge will be commentating you through the action. And on a very special day for one of us in the commentary box, you can probably guess who, given my excitement. It is my birthday on Sunday, so I'm going to be commentating around Imola round there. And of course, we take in CWC and TTML GT, of course, next week as well. So, all of that to come on League Racing TV in the coming days and of course in the coming weeks as well. And of course, if you did tune in for EML League 2 last night, I will come on to this finally. League 2 is rescheduled next week, Wednesday, 7 PM UK time around France. It is Graham Chappell and Storm going to be taking to the action. If not, you'll probably see me there in the commentary box on a Wednesday night as well. So you can look forward to a bit of EML action during the week next week as well. Of course, that restarted race from France after the safety car glitch. But that is it for TTML F2 tonight. We better get off the air before we get kicked off the air. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.